What's up, Story Dude crew? It's yours truly, Story Dude. Right now, I'm about to get into Alabama Dumbest Demon. He smoked his bet. Now, family want him gone. Dumbest Demon. Hear me out. Never mind. That. I mean, see, I'm seeing by the thumbnail, it's gonna be about Honeycomb Brazy. And what I want to say is, man, his story out of a lot of these niggas' stories is up there. It's up there with one of them. How can I explain it? His life story is just crazy. In and out. Grandparent situation. Goddamn. You see one of his biggest videos. He doing like this, looking around. Goddamn, like his whole life story just crazy.
Man, so you pretty much immune to getting in like that shit didn't really phase you. You didn't think about
it. You in big trouble. Boy, your is in big trouble. You know you in big trouble. You say I can't come to the city, you know you're in big trouble on big dog. Yeah. And I'm gonna keep my spirit for real. Don't play with me on really like that. Don't play with me on really like that.
Welcome back to another episode of Swamp Stories. For this one, we dive into one of the craziest ones I've ever covered. I know I say it before every video, but this one is actually beyond comprehension. From family betrayal, friends crossing friends, rap beef, and so much more. We follow the entire life story of easily hip-hop's biggest goon. And I promise you everything in this video will absolutely blow your mind. This one is Brazy, but before we get into it, let me run the intro.
Let me run the intro. Swamp Stories. Go little dirty ass. Little dirty ass.
Mobile, Alabama, a place you've probably never heard of and have definitely never been to. But despite it being relatively unknown, it's actually a very historical city that should be taught in schools. And for that reason, we start off with some much needed and very important history.
Did they pull a boat up to Mobile, Alabama, perchance? Like a boat that had a collection of... Can I say this here? He gonna teach us.
For those who are unfamiliar, the Atlantic slave trade was made illegal in 1808 by the United States government. This meant that slaves could no longer be imported to the country, a very monumental moment in history. But despite this great progress, many slave owners in Alabama decided to completely disregard the law. So for 52 years, illegal slave ships were still arriving to the port of Mobile. Thankfully though, in 1860, the United States government finally decided to crack down. They successfully captured the very last slave ship to ever approach US soil. And after seizing it, they took the 110 captives and dropped them off in North Mobile. They were essentially given a plot of land called Africatown, and they were told to figure it out. This is what makes it so unique and interesting. Over the next 100 years, they basically created their own community and even spoke their own language at home. And with very little outside interaction, they built their own homes, schools, restaurants, and many businesses. Yes, it was a very poor community, but the important part is that they owned and built everything they had. And if you know anything about economics, you know that ownership is the only way to a successful community. I say that to say that the potential was there, but sadly it wouldn't be there for long. In the 1950s, the United States government introduced a controversial plan called urban renewal. Essentially, they designated certain areas as decaying and used this to seize all of the property. Obviously, this is a violation of property rights and the Constitution, but back then it wasn't seen that way. So they went to various neighborhoods across the country and pretty much bulldozed them to the ground. Whether it was the Fillmore in San Francisco, the 7th Ward in New Orleans, or Mobile, Alabama, they pretty much went to a bunch of neighborhoods and destroyed them. And by the end of the 1950s, over 75% of Africatown was completely demolished. The community...
And that's so crazy, because, like, see, y'all don't... So when I upload these videos, I may upload this one 2 weeks from what today is, right? Cool. But in the video I just recorded, it was about the Indian Reserve. Anyway, I was in there talking about like, damn, why the fuck the niggas couldn't get, why the fuck why we can't, cause everybody else's elders take care of the new adults, the new young adults, teenage, whatever. They put something in place where they kind of get just a little pick me up. Whether it's a small loan of $1 million or a goddamn $100,000 check when they turn 18. But they get a little pick me up. Or college paid for. Anyway, to go ahead and transition to their adult life. All right, wrap it back around to this shit. We just learned that in 1950, they just came out with a bullshit ass law called shit decaying and basically took, if that was 1950, 1950, that would make them about 20. My grandparents. But anyway, two generations from where I'm at. So what I'm trying to say is this. They came and took the land my grandparents would have passed on to my elders and will then passed on to me or whatever next in line off of they didn't want them to prosper. This sounding like to me. I know this shit didn't come to goddamn history class or whatever, but it's just kind of crazy how, you know, I go from one video to the next where we pulled up talking about Honeycomb Brazy and we learning some more shit. Or just connecting the dots with the shit. Yo, mind you, this is an hour-long video, and I'm talking my ass
He
off.
sadly
That's
had
crazy.
to watch everything they built be torn to the ground. The deep history and cornerstones
I'ma
of the
chop that shit up
community
for
were
sure,
now
but-
replaced by endless public housing. And on
Yeah,
top
that's
of
what
this,
they
they
gave us,
even
public
changed the
housing.
neighborhood's name
Nobody
from
can
Africa
own fuck public housing. Who would want to own public housing anyway? That ain't nothing to what?
town to the Happy Hills. Like, damn, we can't even keep the name? Well, to me, urban renewal is one of the biggest stains in American history as it destroyed so many communities. It essentially turned homeowners and business owners to welfare
can't do
recipients
that.
overnight, and as you would expect, the government did not take care
I
of
was about to eat it on the board, not the start of a comment. Them all that talking about that nigga on.
what they replaced it with. The
Great.
residents were exposed to broken ceilings, mold, and rodent-infested apartments, and on top of this, there were no local businesses left in the area. So as you would expect, this led to some bad consequences, and Happy Hills became an extremely rough and dangerous area. Unlike LA, where the hoods have two-story homes, manicured lawns, and palm trees, this right here is the real trenches. And in this environment, there's no squabbling enemies or catching DPs, it's straight cutthroat at all times. The smallest disagreements can go straight to lethal consequences, and there's no such thing as a fair fight. It's truly a sad circumstance, but it's been the way of life in Happy Hills for quite some time. Trust me when I say that this environment is no joke, and that takes us to the early 1990s. During this period, Happy Hills had a local kingpin by the name of Honeycomb Jones. Honeycomb was known throughout Alabama as a serious hustler in the streets of Mobile. But this would not be an easy journey for him as he was in and out of jail throughout the 90s. And with all these years in jail, he was leaving behind his bloodline, specifically a son born in 1994. This would be his son named Nashawn Jones, who's commonly known as Little Honeycomb. As you would expect, Little Honeycomb had a rough childhood coming up, with both parents in and out of prison and hopping from house to house. On top of this, he was raised in real poverty and always had to fend for himself. To many of us at home, this is beyond comprehension, but to Little Honeycomb, this was basically normal. This is because his friends, classmates, and families in the neighborhood were pretty much going through the same things. This is just the sad reality of growing up in Happy Hills. Well, now we focus entirely on the life of Nashawn Little Honeycomb Jones. Growing up, Nashawn had two best friends from the neighborhood who he rolled with every day. These would be Ladarius Moorer, also known as Stank, and Dedrick Thomas, also known as Day. According to people close to them, Honeycomb was always the leader of the group and was also the wildest too. He wasn't necessarily mean or aggressive, but he loved to test people's limits. And because of this, he was constantly getting in trouble at school, and he was also arrested at a very young age. Specifically, at 10 years old, he decided to break in rooms to go and ride around with go-karts with his friends. He knocked over a bunch of items and police came to arrest him within 15 minutes. But due to his age, all police could do was take him home to his parents to be disciplined. But here's the problem, Nashawn's father had recently been sentenced to 20 years in prison and his mother was in jail as well. So police had to take him to his aunt on his dad's side, which wasn't exactly the best environment. In fact, it may have been the worst possible place for him, so let me break it down. When Big Honeycomb went to prison, money in the family pretty much dried up. I mean, it wasn't like they were balling beforehand, but now it was really bad. So in order to put food on the table, Big Honeycomb decided to keep running his organization from behind bars. And in order for this to work, he elected certain family members to run everything for him on the streets. One of these family members would be his nephew, who he put in charge of keeping track of the money. This nephew is his sister's son, which is the family who adopted Nishan when he went off to prison. So as you would imagine, keeping the money in the family and close to his son was the best option overall. But still though, trusting a poor teenager from the projects with thousands of dollars is always a risky move.
Man.
Like, hey, I know I'm your nephew, but I gotta eat too. So it was only a matter of time before things went wrong. After just a few months, Big Honeycomb started to believe that his nephew was pocketing the money. He was pissed, feeling betrayed, and he wanted to do something about it. In his mind, even though it's his nephew, disloyalty is always unforgivable. So believe it or not, he allegedly calls up one of his goons in Mobile and tells him to put in work. Now, who is this goon, you might be wondering? Well, this would be none other than his 13-year-old son, Nishan Little Honeycomb Jones.
You know, Pop said run it, so you gotta do it. Just do it. It's done. I really does it.
So a 13-year-old Honeycomb decides to hop off the porch for his pops, and here's how it goes. He's hanging with his friends in Happy Hills, and he somehow gets his hands on a Blake. He then starts walking to his aunt's house in Plateau looking for his cousin. Because he's a leader, all his friends tag along with him with no idea what he's about to do.
Wait, this little picture of him at 13? Let me find a picture, bro.
Tells him to put in work. Now, who is this goon, you might be wondering? Well, this would be none other than his
Hell nah.
13-year-old son, Nishan Little Honeycomb Jones.
Pop said run it, so you gotta do it. Just do it. It's done. I really does it.
So a 13-year-old
Right here.
Honeycomb decides to hop off the porch for his pops, and here's how it
That nigga look every bit of 40 right there, bro.
goes. He's hanging with his friends in Happy Hills, and he somehow gets his hands on a Blake. He then starts walking to his aunt's house in Plateau looking for his cousin. Because he's a leader, all his friends tag along with him with no idea what he's about to do. He then finds his cousin outside with his squad, and he decides to walk right up to him. His cousin thinks he's about to dap him up, and he has no idea what's about to go down. And in front of everyone, Honeycomb whips out and makes a wild decision. Everyone is shocked, and Honeycomb and his friends run back to Happy Hills. He assumes that his cousin is dead, and this is when reality kicks in. What in the world did I just do? Did I really just claim the life of my own cousin? And now that I did this, my aunt will probably be pissed, so where can I even sleep? And on top of all this, if I get arrested, I'll never see the light again. As a last resort, Honeycomb decides to make a run for it. So at 13 years old, he goes on the run hiding from both his aunt's family and the police. We don't know the specifics, but somehow he fends for himself for months on end. Wow, this is crazy, and I don't think I've seen anything like it.
I hope this nigga writing script. Something. This is shit you just can't write. This shit, what the fuck is going on?
When I was 13, I was too scared to take public transportation and nonetheless survive on my own while ducking police. Oh, and I've never had my father ask me to eliminate my own cousin. So before you demonize Little Honeycomb, you have to put yourself in his shoes. Like at 13 years old, you'll literally do anything for your father. On top of this, he says that he never really wanted to do it and even regrets it to this day.
Paralyzed my own cousin, took a hit from a pop. Like, I was young then, though. Like, right now, I don't know if I still do that again. Because I still with Buzz. It was just a misunderstanding. But, I would have thought better about it. But I was young. Then my dad was telling me to run it. So, dad is telling me to run it. They're finna run it. You know how that go.
You can even see it in his face that he really regrets doing it.
Whoa, wait. You shot your cousin?
Yeah, yeah.
Like on accident?
Nah, like on purpose. Him and my dad, some shit with him.
That's crazy.
Your cousin?
Yeah.
Like on accident?
Nah, like on purpose. Him and my dad, some shit with him and my dad, some money came on missing with my dad.
As crazy as this already is, while Honeycomb was on the run, more tragedy would strike in his family. November 1st, 2007. Little Honeycomb happens to have an older cousin in the neighborhood named Robert Lucas, also known as Slick. Well, on this afternoon, Slick and his friends happen to be hanging out in the Josephine Allen projects like any other day. They're standing around laughing and playing music in the parking lot. The commotion pisses off one of the neighbors in the projects and she decides to call 911. She tells police that there's a group of young men hanging outside selling illicit products. So at 5 p.m. a Mobile sheriff named Paul Birch pulls up to the projects. Slick notices him rolling through and he decides to turn around and sprint. This is because he believes the officer is there to serve a warrant on him, but that's simply not the case. Either way, his decision to run does not serve him well. When the officer notices Slick running away, he decides to get out of his car and go chase him. He chases him through the projects and that's when Slick trips and falls on his face. Because of this, the officer catches up to him and decides to draw down. Unfortunately, the situation ends in the worst way possible. Slick gets hit twice in the back, twice in the shoulder, and twice in the chest. And sadly, he wouldn't make it after being rushed to the hospital. Obviously, it was a tragic situation, but it was also controversial. The witnesses believed that Officer Paul Birch was not justified in his actions. They all rallied to get him arrested, but nothing came of it. This is because the officer stated that Slick pointed a blick at him while he was falling, and because of this, he had to do what he had to do to survive. The sheriff and the district attorney agreed, so they both declined to charge him. The entire Happy Hills community was pissed. To them, it was a clear case of murder and they all decided to protest. So for days on end, the community gathered together and marched the streets of Mobile. This eventually caught the attention of the FBI and the Department of Justice, so they were forced to investigate. But here we are 17 years later and no charges were ever brought to the table. And on top of this, Paul Birch is currently the elected sheriff of Mobile County.
There's a new sheriff in town. Sheriff-elect Paul Birch sworn in today and is now sheriff of Mobile County. The swearing in got underway around 4 at the Crown Hall on Dolphin Street. Sheriff-elect Birch is replacing retiring Sheriff Sam Cochran.
Honeycomb would post about Slick on Facebook, and his friends are not too happy about Paul Birch. Drama, drama, and more drama in the life of little Honeycomb Jones. After being on the run for numerous months, he finally decides to return home. Quickly though, right after his 14th birthday, he's arrested by Mobile County sheriffs. He was in for some potentially serious time, but thankfully the judge was lenient and only gave him 3 years. So from ages 14 to 17, he spent his every day and night in the Strickland Youth Center. Although it may sound miserable, for many youth offenders it's actually a very positive experience. Firstly, their living experience in the youth center may be better than it ever was growing up. But more importantly, as Charleston White explains it, it can provide structure and discipline that they've never had before.
But if you put them in any kind of institution, any kind of structured environment, structured program, they would flourish. They flourish in a structured environment.
But unfortunately, after they're done with their sentence, they're often thrown right back to the environment that got them there. And this often entails running with the same friends that they used to run with.
Of course, they don't know nothing else.
For little Honeycomb, he was thrown right back into chaos. With both parents locked up and an aunt who hates him for paralyzing her son, you can only imagine. So after being released at 17, he moved in with his grandparents in the heart of Happy Hills. And as you would expect, he went right back to hanging with his day one friends in the hood. As kids, Honeycomb was always the bad one in the group, but now that they were grown, they were all on the same timing. With young Honeycomb, Det, and Stank walking the streets, you never knew what could go down. And sometimes bad situations could occur at any time and for any reason. That takes us to December 12th, 2011. It's a chilly winter dawn and Honeycomb and Det are walking through the neighborhood with nothing to do. So at 5:45 they decide to head to the community rec center. As they're walking down Center Street, Det notices a random man standing by his car. So for whatever reason, he walks up to the man and sparks a conversation. Honeycomb thinks Det's just being friendly, but actually he has other plans on his mind.
Damn.
So Honeycomb stands back as Det and the man are having a conversation by his car. Then in the middle of the conversation, Det whips out a blicky and says, "Run me your pockets." The man is hesitant and is slowly fumbling around, and that's when Det runs out of patience. After hitting him once in the shoulder, he begins to run through his pockets. He then discovers that the man has nothing, so he and Honeycomb run their separate ways. Thankfully, the man survives after being rushed to the hospital. And while he's recovering, police show up to ask him some questions. Who did this? What did they look like? And what were they wearing? And for whatever reason, the man gives them a simple description. It was 2 young teenagers from the neighborhood, and that's all I know. Believe it or not, Honeycomb's reputation was already so bad that police instantly thought it was him. So after finding his whereabouts, they instantly decided that he was a suspect. Damn, that's cold. The next day, Honeycomb's grandparents would get a knock on the door, and here we are again. Honeycomb is arrested for first-degree robbery and assault with a deadly weapon. After being taken in for questioning, police pretty much offered him an easy way out. We know you weren't alone when this happened, so give us up who you were with and we'll let you go. Most teenagers in this situation would start squealing like Master Splinter or singing like Alicia Keys. But Honeycomb was already tougher than nails and realer than real, so he decided to not say a word. So as a result, the teenager was facing a long time in prison for something that he didn't do. He was willing to take it on the chin to stick to the street code and to stay loyal to his day one homie. Well, fast forward a few months and it's Honeycomb's first official court appearance on March 4th, 2012. During the hearing, the prosecutors try to get him to implicate on his friend once again, but he refuses to do so. He decides to remain solid while Det is back home hoping he doesn't squeal on him. So when Det gets word that Honeycomb stayed solid, he decides to go shoot some dice to celebrate. It's 7:30 p.m. on Selmer Street in Happy Hills. Everyone is outside on the block while Det is on the porch in a dice game. During the dice game, an OG named Anthony Jenkins gets upset. He tells Det that he owes him $5 for losing and he gets in his face. Det refuses to hand over the $5 bill, and that's when Anthony gets extra heated. He whips out a blick from his waistline and makes a terrible decision.
Damn.
Yet another devastating loss for Honeycomb and the whole Happy Hills. Det was only 17 and lost his life to a 40-year-old over a $5 dice game. Oh, and here's the craziest part. Anthony was let out on a $2,500 bond, meaning that he posted $250 and went right back home to Happy Hills, putting not only his life but everyone else in the
Is they even okay? It's proven that it's possible. What I want to say is, why is this possible? Why is it possible? The nigga got mad at him because he wouldn't give him $5. Dude didn't give up the $5, so he probably robbed him. He already killed him, so he probably robbed him. That's the rob part is an assumption. Anyway, goes to jail, get a bond hearing, $2,500, pay $200 to get the hell out. Like, the shit's crazy. Every step. I just broke down the steps and it sound crazy. Crazier.
His face. Det refuses to hand over the $5 bill, and that's when Anthony gets extra heated. He whips out a blick from his waistline and makes a terrible decision. Yet another devastating loss for Honeycomb and the whole Happy Hills. Det was only 17 and lost his life to a 40-year-old over a $5 dice game. Oh, and here's the craziest part. Anthony was let out on a $2,500 bond, meaning that he posted $250 and went right back home to Happy Hills, putting not only his life but everyone else in the area's life in jeopardy as well. Man, Mobile is really something else. From questionable police activity to judges making blatantly dangerous decisions, it all just seems like a trap. For Honeycomb, he was absolutely devastated by the news of his best friend passing. He was already facing a decade in prison, so losing his best friend only added to his problems. I mean, I can't even imagine being in a jail cell for something I didn't do and then receiving this kind of news. But on the other hand, it did bring an interesting scenario to the table. Now that Det was gone, Honeycomb could potentially say that it was him who did the robbery. To many guys like Gangsta Williams, this is a no-brainer, but to Honeycomb, he would never go against the code of the streets. So instead, he took his lick and decided to go for a 4-year plea deal in Alabama prison. Although this may sound like a good deal, his time in prison was no joke. In fact, he describes horrible conditions in the facility and even says that he could only shower once every 3 days.
You took a bath every 3 days?
Yeah, every 3 days on blood. But you know, it probably been like go a day, then skip a day. But then it be so much going on, like they might hit some in the cold and get into a fight. They won't even let her take them, you know. They'll just handle up for real. Like that's what they got going on now.
So how do you keep your hygiene up? Like, do they give you deodorant, or is there certain things you got to do to keep, you know, your body right from smelling a certain way?
Water now. I used to bathe in the sink and shit. You know, I ain't tripping. I ain't fucked up about it.
Like none of that made you like go insane at all at a period of time?
Nah, I got mad a lot of times, but only reason I was getting mad, it wasn't about me being in the cell. It was about me not taking a shower. When I really wanted to take a shower, and them would be like, nah, y'all can't take nothing today to jail on lockdown. And they be like the third day.
He was willingly sustaining these horrible conditions all because he wouldn't tell on his friend. Definitely couldn't be me, but I do respect him for sticking to his code. Sadly, while he was enduring these horrible conditions, he would also lose some family members on the streets. On June 16, 2013, his cousins Tyvone and Timberly Jones would lose their life in a car accident in Happy Hills. These two are forever remembered in the neighborhood, and many people have them tatted in commemoration. But this was yet more losses for Honeycomb to deal with while sitting in a disgusting prison. But if anyone in the world could shoulder these blows, it would be Mr. Little Honeycomb Jones. Well, now we move on to December of 2015, when Little Honeycomb is finally released. When Honeycomb gets home, all he wants to do is turn his life around. The streets cause nothing but devastation in prison time, so it's definitely time for something new. So for fun, Honeycomb hops in the studio and quickly realizes that he's actually a talented rapper.
Oh, my mama here. Yeah, he definitely.
He figures that this may possibly be his ticket out of the hood. On top of this, while he was in prison, some of his childhood friends were seeing success away from the streets. Firstly, his friend and Happy Hills native Jaquaski Tartt was drafted by the 49ers.
In the 2015 draft, the San Francisco 49ers select Jaquaski Tartt, defensive back, Sanford.
Jaquaski was giving hope to everyone he grew up with and was also giving back to the community.
Me growing up in this city, I experienced a lot growing up, and I just know what a lot of kids, I can relate to what a lot of kids been going through, and I just hope they get out.
But believe it or not, Jaquaski was not the only success story at the time. Another childhood friend of Honeycomb was becoming a successful rapper in California. This would be Happy Hills / Sacramento's own OMB Peasy. But Peasy wasn't the only rapper, as his childhood friends Rollo Rodriguez and No Cap were seeing
What the fuck going on in Mobile?
success as well. Not to mention that Det's little brother Trey Baby was doing local comedy shows. The point is that the small city of Mobile was seeing a shining light, and Honeycomb knew that if they could do it, he could too. So he started dedicating himself to rapping, and it took off right away. Under the rap name Honeycomb Brazy, he was cultivating some underground buzz. Could this be the way that he finally turns his life around? Well, I don't know what you expected, but now we head to February 1st, 2016. It's a late Sunday afternoon, and Honeycomb heads to the Woodlands Apartments in the nearby suburb of Whistler. He's heading to a woman's apartment who happens to be the girlfriend of his best friend Stank. However, on this afternoon, Stank is at work and Honeycomb doesn't tell him that he's pulling up. Obviously, this is suspicious, but Honeycomb claims that he's only going over there to collect some money and possibly spark up. But here's how it actually goes. At 7 o'clock, she lets him into the apartment and they're doing whatever for over an hour. They think nothing of it, but then at 8 o'clock, they get a loud knock on the door. As it turns out, Stank gets home earlier than expected and sees Honeycomb's car in the driveway. At first, he's just confused why Honeycomb is there, but then after no one responds to the door, he begins getting suspicious. So he bangs harder on the door and still nobody opens up. So now he's pissed and he uses all his force to kick the door down. Boom! He storms in the living room, and right there is Honeycomb and his girlfriend. An argument starts as Stank aggressively questions his friend as to why he's at his girlfriend's apartment. Honeycomb responds by saying that he's only there to collect money and nothing shady is going on. Stank doesn't buy it, the two start tussling, and that's when Honeycomb whips.
No bullshit though. And I ain't picking it. I'm saying if it was really nothing, why y'all ain't answer the door? I'm just saying. Maybe I'm tripping. Please let me.
out.
And that's crazy. He just killed his best friend.
What in the world just happened? At this moment, time completely freezes. Stank and Honeycomb were best friends from the sandbox. How in the world could this have happened? Firstly, why was Honeycomb really at her apartment? If he was really just there to collect some money, why would Stank have reacted like that? And secondly, was Stank really that much of a threat for Honeycomb to respond with his weapon? Lots of important questions that only Honeycomb can answer.
That was my home, but
That was your friend?
yeah, that's my partner. I love my partner. He just tripped that day, you feel me? It ain't nothing like that. You know, if I could take it back, I'd take it back.
Obviously, he sees it as a self-defense situation, and he also states that he never messed with the girl like that.
So you ain't even hit, you were just telling her, you know what I'm saying? You were just in her house type shit. You ain't even
Yeah,
hit.
about grandma. Granddad, I ain't never her. On my dead little brother Myron, never up. You feel me? Really solid. It's just that how that happened.
Do you guys believe him or not? Let me know in the comments. Either way, just days after the incident...
No, hold on. Cause this how I be gauging if motherfuckers be lying or not. Roll with me. You see how he took the 4-year bid for his buddy Debt? That was like some principles and shit. Principles, morals, shit I ain't gonna tell. He stood on that. Right? Right. Now listen to the words he said. He put it on his grandparents. Alright, that holds weight. Cause he ain't just gonna goddamn, he's standing on, I ain't do that. I feel like he telling the truth. That's all I'm trying to say. Just off of, what he said. Now, hey, if he is lying, fooled the fuck out of me. Fooled the fuck out of me. Hey, yo.
Honeycomb was arrested for second-degree murder. Typically in the South, this is considered self-defense, but when you flee the scene and fail to call 911, it is suspicious. So just months after getting out, the 22-year-old rapper was now facing life in prison. Now, the very start of a bright rap career was looking like the end of it. But Honeycomb fought the case for months trying to prove his innocence, and after a year of deliberation, the prosecution finally decided to drop the charges in favor of self-defense. This is because Stank wasn't on the lease of his girlfriend's apartment, meaning that it was considered a home invasion. So under Alabama's Stand Your Ground law, Honeycomb was completely justified in his actions. Wow, this is a cold world, and I really feel bad for Stank's family. Overall, this was a terrible situation, but what do you guys think? Was Honeycomb disloyal, and is what he did wrong? While the loss of Stank had much bigger implications than Honeycomb ever imagined. For him, he wanted to chalk it up to the streets and just leave it as an unfortunate situation. He saw Stank as a brother and truly wishes it never went down like this. But to Stank's friends and family, what Honeycomb did was completely unforgivable. Firstly, linking with his girl behind his back, and then resorting to claiming his life. So while Honeycomb was in jail fighting his case, Stank's family was plotting for revenge if he ever got out. In fact, they were making everyone on the streets take a side. You're either rocking with us or you're rocking with him, but there's no in between. So when Honeycomb was released from jail, he quickly realized who was on his side and who wasn't. And what he started to realize is that a lot of people who used to be close to him were no longer on his side. Now, what if I told you that it wasn't for moral reasons, like they didn't leave his side because of what he did to Stank, and instead they chose the other side for a completely different reason? It's because Stank's family is no ordinary family. In particular, Stank had an uncle by the name of Darren Southall, also known as DD, and this guy is easily the most feared man in Mobile history, so actually we'll have to dive into his story. Sorry, we'll get back to that beat in a second. Darren grew up in Happy Hills and was always known as a serious hustler in the streets, and in the 1990s he was able to turn his hustling ways into a major organization. It was known locally as Darren Southall Distribution, but it was pretty much the BMF of the South. And no, I'm not exaggerating, because it's estimated that he was sitting on $24 million cash. With this kind of money, he could pretty much call any shot he wants to in the whole southern United States. And because of this, he was extremely feared in Mobile, even to the point where he was allowed to snitch. No, seriously, listen to this. DD successfully operated under the radar until 2001 when the state government began investigating him. He had numerous mansions and supercars throughout the state, but his tax returns didn't show much income. None of it was adding up, so they decided to look into his operations, and here is what they found. They discovered his distribution and the music label he was using to launder his money. So as a result, in 2003 his entire operation was taken down and he was looking at 30+ years in prison. Everyone in Mobile thought the street legend was cooked, but DD had other plans on his mind. He decided to tell on 2 of his co-defendants and give up the music label that was laundering his money. In return, his sentence was reduced to a couple years and he was back in Mobile in no time. He's still known as one of the biggest rats in history, but for whatever reason, Mobile just didn't care. He actually went right back to the hood and rebuilt his
We don't care you snitch. Thing he just popped. We don't care that you snitch.
Mobile just didn't care. He actually went right back to the hood and rebuilt his distribution from the ground up. You might be thinking, how is this possible? But I'm trying to tell you that in the South, nobody cares that you snitched if you have money or you're feared. So after some years of rebuilding his major distribution, Didi became the king of Mobile once again. According to some, a rat was running the city. I'm not exaggerating when I say that Didi was like royalty in Happy Hills, as nobody would dare to go against him or ever touch him. For example, look at this picture of him and Honeycomb back in the day. They used to be locked in, but after he claimed the life of his nephew Stank, Didi wanted all the smoke. He didn't want to hear any excuses and he was not willing to negotiate. And because he had all of the money and power, most of Mobile decided to take his side. Oh, and not to mention that there was allegedly a 7-figure bounty on Honeycomb's head. This obviously put Honeycomb at a major disadvantage, especially because he never knew who was willing to cross him. Like if any of Honeycomb's friends wanted to collect Didi's bag, it was pretty much over for him. So in order to protect himself, he was forced to draw serious lines in the sand. You're either rocking with me or going over there, but I cannot have snakes in my circle. Because of this, he now had to be very careful who he was hanging with and where he was going. And to keep things organized, all of his homies took the name RN4L, and I'm sure you can figure out what that means. Anyone claiming RN4L was—
Hey, so in the beginning, I think I mentioned something about this video where he was looking all over. It makes sense now. It makes total sense.
Willing to protect and die for Honeycomb, even though they were up against Thanos. So Didi Southall versus Honeycomb Brazy was the new major beef in Mobile. Things were about to get crazy, and it was all dependent on Honeycomb coming home. Well, it's November of 2017, and Honeycomb officially beats his case and returns to Mobile. He knows he's up against a powerful boss, but he's way too prideful to leave his city. So he goes back to Mobile to pursue his rap career, but quickly things would get spicy. Just days after being released, Honeycomb is shot 8 times, including once in the head. His friends rush him to the hospital and the doctors don't believe he'll make it. But after a successful surgery, he's placed into a coma where he stays for 9 days. During this period, the doctors tell his family that he will wake up, but he'll never walk again. But miraculously, after waking up from a coma, his legs work just fine. Like I told you guys, Honeycomb is the type of dude who can survive any battle.
And I ended up getting that first week and get hit up. So, you know, I was in the coma and shit, but I had shook that shit though.
However, after this incident is when he woke up and realized that his ops are not playing. In fact, this is when he receives word that there's over $1 million on his head. To all of us at home, this would terrify us, but Honeycomb talks about it like it's nothing.
Man, so when you speak on having money on your head, can you speak on like, what goes through your mind? Do you lose sleep over that?
Hell no, I wasn't dream. Wow, Martin Luther King, I wasn't dream.
Not only is he not worried about his ops, he also decides to troll them online.
I don't really like that, man. I'm Big Stepper, bro. On soul, I'm Big Stepper, man. On gang, they know that. That's why they trying to kill me. Cause they know what's going on with me. That's why they trying to kill me, man. On blood, they know, but Brazy a real.
And that's so crazy because I've seen this nigga IG lives before on YouTube. And it look like he just be rambling in a sense. It just look like but everything he's saying is kind of meaning something. That's the way he depicting it. Yeah.
Step, we gotta get him before he get us. He killed our brother already. He beat the murder charge. You need to get walked down. That's just what it is, man.
Obviously, Honeycomb was ducking no smoke, but as his career progressed, it only made sense to elevate. And thankfully, his first opportunity to leave would come quickly. After a couple of his songs went viral, Honeycomb was hit up by a major boss in Atlanta. This would be a man known as Rollo Famgoon, one of the biggest hustlers in history. Rollo saw potential in his rap career and wanted to get him off to Atlanta. So immediately, Brazy hopped on I-65 to head for the big city. There, he spent his days and nights in a professional studio recording banger after banger. In the process, he started to get tens of millions of views and noticed by a nationwide audience. But more importantly, he was out of Alabama and he was rolling with a boss even bigger than Didi. This was honestly a match made in heaven, and Brazy was on his way up. But then out of nowhere, everything would come crashing down.
Tonight, a major raid on a Southwest Atlanta home, and we now know that house belongs to an Atlanta rapper named Rollo.
Rollo's team tells me he's being targeted and is sitting in jail wrongfully accused. But a federal criminal complaint lays out how investigators allegedly connected Rollo to the operation. Before we dig any deeper into this, let's tell you who 23-year-old Terrell Davis, aka Rollo, is if you're not familiar with Atlanta's hip-hop scene. The artist has a huge social media presence and following, with more than 200,000 monthly listeners on Spotify and song collaborations with T.I., 2 Chainz, Future, Gucci Mane, and so many others. And now, criminal complaint alleges the rapper, who's called this apartment complex in Atlanta home, a complex just raided yesterday, is the leader of a gang referred to as Famerica, a name Rollo regularly uses to refer to his music team. But according to the complaint, the investigation dates back to December, when investigators stopped 3 vans leaving Fulton County Airport. Inside one, they allegedly found 520 pounds of worth about $1 million on the street. Rollo wasn't inside the van, but 3 people arrested were allegedly connected to him, according to investigators.
Now I know what you're thinking. Is this how Honeycomb went out? No, thankfully he was not included in the investigation or the indictment. However, Rollo's takedown was still bad news for Honeycomb. Now that hanging in Atlanta was too hot, he needed to go somewhere else. Sadly, he would go right back to the Honeycomb, no pun intended. Right back to the city where his ops want to hurt him and police hate him too. So as you would expect, his return to Mobile would not go so well. Sadly, right after returning to Mobile, he caught a serious gun charge. A good old felon in possession of a weapon, which in the feds holds an average of a 3-year sentence. However, this was a state case and the judge decided to give him 15 years in prison. Yes,
Damn.
You heard that correctly. 15 years in prison for Honeycomb Brazy. Right as his career was progressing, it was looking like it was pretty much over. For whatever reason, the Alabama judge wanted to completely wash him away. So sadly, Honeycomb was off to prison for a long time. I cannot imagine how down and depressed he was after receiving the news. Oh, and it even gets worse. Honeycomb was placed in a prison cell with his own father.
Y'all shared the same cell?
Yeah, we slept in the same cell, Magic Count at West Jail.
How does that work? Like, did y'all make it like that, or did it just...
No, they just put me in the cell with them. So when I got out of lockup, they put me right in the cell with my daddy. So I went in there with them, you know, we banging.
Yo, this is insane. So I can only imagine the conversations y'all just having in there, just talking.
Yeah, we would have real conversations, like I got money on my head.
Imagine sitting in a cell with your dad and telling him that there's money on your head.
You can't let them do me like that while I'm doing life. So I was like, hell yeah, man, you know, I got your pop with the whoop.
And to make matters worse, Honeycomb would lose yet another friend while sitting in a cell.
I had that on my head.
October 21st, 2020, 8:40 a.m. A local comedian named Trey Baby is sitting in his parents' living room. That's when he hears a loud thud and a man comes running inside. The man finds him in the living room and makes a terrible decision. And one of these people was Honeycomb, who made a dedication post on Facebook. He said that if he finds out who did this, yeah, you know the rest. Yet another loss while Honeycomb is sitting in a 6x9 cell. Obviously this is devastating, but on the bright side, he would receive some positive news. His lawyers appealed his sentence and a new judge granted him parole after 18 months. Man, thankfully his career was back in his hands after it almost slipped away. But interestingly enough, Honeycomb was really not that happy to leave.
Okay.
Yeah, but I left out the cell with him though. I ain't really want to leave that. I already do another year with him for real. On everything, I ain't even lying.
Either way, the bottom line is that Honeycomb was given a second chance at life, but it really wasn't that simple. His parole requirements were extremely strict and pretty much set up for him to fail. Firstly, he wasn't allowed to leave the state of Alabama for 15 years, which obviously puts him in danger. But on top of this, he wasn't allowed to be around any felons or in the proximity of any weapons. So in my opinion, the state was pretty much setting him up to be victimized. And the craziest part is that technically, if he ever violates these rules, he's sent back to prison for 15 years. So Honeycomb had a big dilemma on his hands. I'm either risking my freedom or I'm risking my life. It was only a matter of time before things go wrong one way or the other. And that takes us to November 10th, 2020. To get out of Mobile, Honeycomb and his boys head up I-65 to the city of Montgomery. Montgomery and Mobile are about 2.5 hours away, so it's an easy way to escape the beef. Now this would be the case in most rivalries, but things are different when you have $1 million on your head. Well, once they get to Montgomery, they head to the mall so Honeycomb can buy a new jersey. The Lakers jersey he bought in Mobile is too small, so he goes to the mall to get a new one. And once he gets the jersey, they all head to the barber shop to get fresh. This is when he makes a boneheaded decision.
Yeah.
At 3 p.m., Honeycomb decides to go on Facebook Live outside of the barbershop. He shows his location and says he wants to give away his Lakers jersey.
Yeah, man, I bought a jersey. That bitch was too big. I bought a jersey. It was too big.
Autograph Honeycomb Kobe Bryant jersey to the really size.
Yeah, man, it was too big, so I had to buy another one. I had to buy another one, man.
He stays on live for over an hour thinking nothing of it, but that's when things get hectic. Out of nowhere, shots start flying at his car. Bang! His friends instantly get up and start chasing the perpetrators down the street, and because of this, they instantly hop back in their car and speed away. Once they turn the corner, Honeycomb's friends run back to the car to check on him. They notice that he's hit, but he refuses to let them take him to the hospital. So instead, they go to a family member's house in Montgomery and they bandage him up. Thankfully, he makes it just fine, but it does bring us back to an important question. Had his friends taken him back to the hospital, he could have been arrested for being around weapons. I'm assuming that this is what he was thinking, but his next actions are kind of puzzling. Directly after all of this unfolded, he decided to go right back onto Facebook Live and explain everything.
And then he pull up a clip where he got the biggest smile.
Everything that happened. As if his parole officer or the police can't watch this. Oh, and not to mention that the guys who just did this can see where he is.
None of y'all get hit. Oh, they not the back one that? That what you wore? The coach got deal with it. I'm on this side. You want to keep Yeah, we supposed to be dead. We supposed to be dead, home. Like, I don't respect that. Yeah. My dog, well, y'all know what's up, man. Hey, how you doing?
We still handsome.
How you doing?
We still handsome, bitch.
We still handsome.
Even the people that are watching are trying to tell him that being on live is the dumbest thing to do.
Y'all talking about me on live, I can do what I want to do. This my live, y'all ain't got to be on that hoe watching me. We ain't running.
Stepping.
Ain't no running going on.
Obviously, going on live was the dumbest thing for Honeycomb to do, and it would bite him in the butt.
This is a nigga that been in and out of jail, bro. I seen a few interviews from Honeycomb. He said he was running that bitch, or he ain't worried about shit. Whatever. The point I'm trying to make is, you may think them lives were probably random, but they probably was for a fucking reason. Them shits are probably for a fucking reason. Or then again, maybe not. But I'm just saying, the nigga a little bit more calculated than you may tend to believe, man. He more calculated. He know motherfuckers is watching him. He know the kind of spotlight he bring. Like, he know.
But eventually. But to make matters worse, right after getting off live, he would make a Facebook post taunting the guys who did this. In the post, he even alludes to the idea that they were paid to do this. Man, I know I said that AR Ab was the dumbest criminal, but Honeycomb is making me rethink that. Yet another close call for Honeycomb, but thankfully after this, more good things would happen to his career. The crazy incident went viral online and Sean Cotton got wind of it, so he invited him for an interview on Say Cheese, and Honeycomb would tell his entire life story. He shocked the world with his crazy stories and even went into detail about the shooting in Montgomery. His story was so intriguing that thousands of people decided to listen to his music. So as a result, his numbers went through the roof and he was contacted by a major label. This would be Houston's Rap-A-Lot Records, who were interested in signing him for millions of dollars. So they flew him to Houston and Honeycomb loved what he saw. And just like that, Honeycomb Brazy would be the next star on Rap-A-Lot Records. Things were on the up and up and his career was about to take off to the next level. But in his roller coaster of a life, tragedy would of course strike. On December 1st, 2020, his friend Tykia Daniels would be targeted while pumping gas in Fairfield, Alabama. Whether or not this is connected to Honeycomb's beef, it shows that living in this state is absolutely crazy. Alabama is truly a wicked state and Honeycomb really needed to leave. So this is when prosecutors say he made the bold decision to move to Houston. This way he was able to record with his label and of course be away from his beef. But as you remember, this is a serious violation of his parole and can send him right back to prison. Either way, Honeycomb decided to be—
I'm just saying, if y'all keep throwing this $1 million thing out, I'll move him. Houston ain't
judged by 12 rather than carried by 6. So in the meantime, he remained low-key and recorded his bangers. But even though he and his homies left Alabama, the beef was not done for Dee. He knew that he couldn't reach Honeycomb under the protection of Jay Prince, but he still wanted revenge for his nephew Stank. So instead, he decided to orchestrate one of the worst catastrophes in Mobile history. This is where things get really heavy. February 17th, 2021. It's a regular Wednesday evening in Happy Hills, and Honeycomb's grandparents are in their living room watching TV. That's when they hear a loud thump on the door. So his grandmother goes to the back of the house while the grandfather walks up to the door. Boom! That's when 3 men kick the door down and run inside. They then make a horrible decision. The men flee the scene, but that's only the beginning of it. Somehow the home explodes and catches on fire. The tragic incident puzzled investigators as they couldn't figure out what caused the fire. However, the ADA believes that the perpetrators exploded an oxygen tank, which led to an explosion. Due to its nature, it was obviously a high-profile case, but then it got even more complicated. They discovered that it was Honeycomb Brazy's grandparents, which went viral across the country.
We have learned that the two are the grandparents of a local well-known rapper. WKRG News 5's Nicolette Schleisman is live in the Happy Hills neighborhood tonight to tell us the very latest information.
No word from police about what happened or why the fire started or how it started. And also Mobile police are confirming that they are investigating this as a homicide. Now, we've also learned that, again, they were the grandparents of local rapper Honeycomb Brazy. He posted to Instagram a tribute to the two, saying he hates they got caught up in his business. The family says the two were the head of their family and took care of everyone. And witnesses tell us that they heard a boom and what sounded like shots around the time of the fire. This all happened around 6:30 last night on Dr. Thomas Avenue.
They took everything. My mama, my daddy, the head. They was the head and the tail, the roots. They took everything from us. Everything. We will never be the same. It's wrong. They ain't deserve it.
And now the family is begging anyone with any sort of information to contact Mobile Police. Reporting live in North Mobile, Nicolette Schleisman, WKRG News 5.
Out of everything, this would be the worst loss that Honeycomb ever had to endure. His grandparents didn't deserve this in a million years, and those who did this are completely ruthless. But as much as this hurt him, he wouldn't dare retaliate in the same manner.
Honeycomb Brazy has posted to Instagram about their deaths, posting today in part, quote, "It's expletive how they did my people, but I'll never do nothing to know old people or kids to get back. It just ain't me."
But the craziest part is that Honeycomb had intuition that this could possibly happen. In fact, he begged his grandparents over and over to move out of Mobile, but they didn't want to do so. Well, this horrible incident would not be solved for over a year, and in the meantime, Honeycomb's rivals were not done. On June 3rd, 2021, his mother's house was targeted in the middle of the night. Thankfully, though, she wasn't there when this occurred.
A crime alert tonight. Terrifying moments for people on Clark Street in Mobile as they wake up to gunfire in the middle of the night.
NBC 15's Andrea Ramey obtained the surveillance footage there that captured the sound of those shots. Andrea, you've learned this shooting may be connected to Mobile rapper Honeycomb Brazy.
In this surveillance footage NBC 15 News obtained, you hear 5 shots fired on Clark Street at 2 in the morning.
They came back.
They keep shooting up your home.
And I don't even live here because I had to leave because of that, but them fresh bullets.
Tanisha Jones believes her home was the target. She wasn't home when the shots were fired, but had been at the home yesterday and believes people saw her there.
They shot it up again. I can tell. I came here yesterday.
And those weren't there yesterday?
Not this glass, none of that.
A family 3 doors down woke when 2 bullets came into their home overnight. They declined to talk on camera. Jones says this isn't the first time her home's been shot.
And how many times do you think your home has been shot at?
For sure, I know it's 3, but now I know it's 4 times.
Why do they keep targeting you?
I don't. Because they want my son, not Sharon Jones, dead.
Her son, Nashawn Jones, a local rapper, is also known as Honeycomb Brazy. Tanisha's heart may be broken and her home riddled with bullets. She's living now only on the hope the shooting stop before she loses another loved one.
I'm kind of like shaky, I'm kind of like nervous, I'm kind of like upset, and I lost everything.
At this point, I don't even know what to say. I've literally never seen anything like this. Like, out of all my videos, I don't think any of them compare to the severity of this one. And sadly, right after this, Honeycomb would go through yet another obstacle. After discovering numerous of his Facebook lives, he was taken in for violating parole.
Brazy back in jail. Brazy's criminal history in Mobile dates all the way back to 2010. You may remember in February, his grandparents, Leila and Tony Lewis, were found dead after a house fire. Brazy admitted his lifestyle played a role in that.
Prosecutors say Jones posted video of the incident on social media. During Jones' probation hearing, the DA's office also showed 15 videos of Jones with drugs or guns. The defense argued those were stage props for music videos. Jones, who was on probation for being a felon in possession of a gun, had served 18 months of a 15-year sentence. A judge revoked his probation and sent him back to prison to serve the rest of his 15-year sentence. The 26-year-old has been booked into Metro 12 times since 2010, when he was just 15 years old.
This dude just can't catch a break. He's up against a multi-million-dollar rat and a system who hates him. So as a result, Rap-A-Lot Records lost their biggest investment in his prime. So with Honeycomb locked up for the foreseeable future, what's next in
this last run this nigga just had? Damn near flawless victory, bro.
In August of 2021, the Darren Southall distribution was finally taken down. Didi was hit with 21 felonies, including laundering millions and millions of dollars. However, out of these 21 charges, 0 of them included targeting Honeycomb Brazy or his family. All of it simply involved moving weight and laundering money. Regardless though, he was still facing 40 years, which we know he didn't want to do any of them. So you might be thinking, oh, he snitched again, but this time it wasn't an option. He was the FBI's #1 target and they weren't going for any plea deals. So as you would expect, Didi came up with a plan B. Somehow he was able to pay the guards to let him escape the jail.
What? Breaking now at 5, a reputed drug kingpin accused of escaping from the Clark County Jail scheduled to plead guilty today, but he backed out. A trial on that federal escape charge will now be set for Darren Southall.
So on top of the 40 years, he was now facing more for a federal escape. Well, over the next month, Didi and the feds agreed to a 35-year sentence.
It's a great day in the city of Mobile to be able to have someone of this magnitude taking off the streets and taking out of the drug trade.
Southall has a long criminal history dating back to the 1990s. Federal prosecutors labeled him a ringleader in a multi-state, multi-million-dollar drug organization since at least 2016. And he admits he took in about $24 million during the time of his operation. According to court documents, Southall did some of his business in Mobile, Mississippi, and Texas.
So Didi was finally gone for life, and believe it or not, from here it would only get worse for him. On the day of his sentencing, he was arrested for the loss of Honeycomb's grandparents. Prosecutors say that he paid 3 people to orchestrate the hit.
Now, one of the men that's charged now with this murder is Darren Southall, who was sentenced today to 35 years in prison after admitting to running a large-scale drug operation along the Gulf Coast. The other 2, Jamarcus Chambers and Terrence Watkins, already in custody, and police looking for a 4th man who they are not naming right now. All 3 alleged accomplices charged with the February 2021 murder of Tony and Leila Lewis.
This was a huge takedown, and believe me or not, it actually curbed the violence in the city of Mobile. Didi no longer had a bag to put on anyone's head, and Brazy was serving the rest of his 15 years. So is this finally the end of the story? Nope, not quite, but in the meantime we focus on Rap-A-Lot Records. In July of 2022, Memphis rapper Finesse2Tymes was released from prison and signed with J Prince. Right off the bat, his songs blew up with 40 to 100 million views, and he was looking like Rap-A-Lot's next star. His success also carried into 2023, and he's now a staple in the rap game, bringing Rap-A-Lot back to prominence. You could say that he took Honeycomb's spot, who by now was an afterthought due to his 15-year sentence. So from 2021 to 2023, Honeycomb felt abandoned and forgot about by his label. But then out of nowhere, the unexpected would occur. On November 14th, 2023, Honeycomb Brazy is released from prison.
Yeah, I'm fresh out, withdrawal and everything. You know Brazy, you know it. Yeah. Boy, I'm finna lose my mind. I ain't lying. Y'all don't even understand. Y'all don't even understand what the ball here. Oh my God. I'm real on that. Straight Alabama shit, I done gave. I'm just saying, so y'all really think I had 15 years? That's what I want to know now. Y'all really think I had 15 years?
He's given yet another chance at his career, and he's back in the game like EA. This time, he takes full advantage of his freedom and drops back-to-back-to-back bangers. Each song was easily hitting over 1 million first day, and he was on the top of YouTube trending. Yeah, Honeycomb is back, and this time he's gonna do it right.
Yeah, I'm still a real. I'm chilling now. I'm chilling. I don't want to smoke with nobody. I'm finna run over a whole bunch of millions. I'm trying to touch $1 billion before I turn 40. This is my goal. I'm trying to turn $1 billion before I turn 40. I got 13 more years to pull it, and I'm on it. You hear me? Everything else, I ain't studying no nigga. Man, I'm really real. I'm really solid. I really ain't no rat. Really ain't never fold.
He's gonna focus on his music, he's not gonna violate his parole, and he's not gonna move recklessly in Mobile. But actually, what would this video be if it weren't for more drama? Here we go again, but this time Honeycomb is kind of justified. Despite his success, Honeycomb was furious at his label and Finesse2Tymes. He felt betrayed by both of them, feeling abandoned once he received his 15-year sentence. Of course, business is business, but Honeycomb felt like he did so much for Rap-A-Lot that he deserved more loyalty. And for Finesse2Tymes, he says that he held him down when he was in prison, giving him money and hooked him up with J Prince. So it's basically like I did so much for Rap-A-Lot and Finesse2Tymes, and then they abandoned me when things got tough. So after being released from prison, Honeycomb would go on live and speak his mind.
Like y'all want me to just say, he ain't did nothing. Man, I really hold this nigga down, man, and pick this nigga in position. You see what I'm saying? And Junior know what's up. I do this shit from the dead. Who Junior had over there? What Mild Tower was talking about before Brazy popped out? Y'all let me know what Mild Tower was talking about before Brazy hit the scene and turn that shit up. Like, who was Mild Tower?
He got a point.
Long Lil Marlo, you feel me? Long Lil Holmes. But who was talking about something over there? No damn body. Brazy crunk that shit all the way up, man. You see what I'm saying? Then I picked this Finesse over there. When I got locked up, nigga, I kept it all the way trill with that boy. He know what's up. This shit, you know, is a lot of street shit can't talk about. But man, come on. Pick that over there. This is on my grandma's grave. Nigga dead and gone. There's on Lila Friends and Firehead. I picked that work in for him. He was spooked. He ain't know what to do.
He then gives Rap-A-Lot an ultimatum. I'm on your head unless you give me some bread.
See what I'm saying? Y'all nigga, you gotta give me my bread. You gotta give me my bread. I'm on some business, man. You gotta give me some bread, bro. Like, then I ain't on that. I'm on that. Like, y'all don't even want to see me crank up yet, cause y'all had to kill me. You see what I'm saying?
And that's crazy, cause if he's saying he connected Finesse with Junior, that's a finder's fee. It's a finder's fee. I don't know how much a finder's fee. That's what they can work out, but finder's fee.
Y'all had a Tupac meet on deck. Y'all had a Tupac Brazy. You know what I'm saying? That would be going on. You had a Tupac, man. I ain't lying. I ain't even lying. When you Tupac me, they ain't gonna be the end of it. I'm like that in real life.
So now it's officially beef between Honeycomb and Finesse and Rap-A-Lot. And for whatever reason, Honeycomb continues to go in.
You like that on stupid moves. You not like that in the streets. Like, I never saw you with the none of that. None of that. You ain't nothing, boy. Get out of there, man. Yeah, for real. Y'all know I attack. I'm helmet head sharp. I'm helmet head Brazy, man. I'm big. I'm helmet head Brazy on everything. All I know is attack. playing with no period. There ain't no sneak this and ain't nothing coming direct. Let you know I'm talking about your. You know what I'm saying? I'm on your ass. I'm on Big Nader. I love this real. Y'all tripping. Y'all man, I'm a one-man army, baby. I'm pulling up by myself when I catch you boy like that. Like, yeah, we can tear down, up, all them with all them real pressure. I ain't mad at Ness. I just be drinking, bro. Bro, I really be having fun with Ness on my mama. Like, dude, the character to me. So he showed what type of he was, bro, a real rapper. Like, dude, a real actor. You know, he a real rapper. Like, he ain't dead. He a real rapper. So I don't even take him serious no more. I swear on my mama I don't, bro. A real actor. I swear. Man, you know you ain't like that. No, I ain't mob tied. Ain't nothing about me mob tied, period. I'm not mob tied. Ain't nothing that is.
He even calls him a rat, but then later apologizes when he realizes that the paperwork is solid. Honeycomb shows that even when he's dealing with his worst enemies, he still holds the truth over anything else. Now this all may seem like internet shenanigans, but Honeycomb says that his young dude from Mississippi slapped Jay Prince Jr. across the face.
I put this on Jay Prince. I put this shit on Senior. My little from Mississippi smacked the Junior.
If you know anything about the Prince family, you know that going against them is never a smart move. They have endless pockets and they're extremely tactical. But as we know, Honeycomb isn't scared to go against anyone. Well, now we focus back on Honeycomb, his life and his career. Remember that Brazy can't be around felons, weapons, and can't leave the state of Alabama or else he'll be sent back to prison for 15 years. Now he may be a certified crash out, but this time he learned his lesson. He stopped showing weapons online, he stopped leaving the state, and for riding around with felons, well, here is where things get interesting. Being a major target in his state, Honeycomb knows that rolling around with no protections is a life risk. But this time, instead of having his goons with him, he decides to hire professional security. To do this, he allegedly hits up Rap-A-Lot to send private security guards to Mobile. And despite their rocky relationship, his label decides to send 2 his way. So the 2 guards now roll with him to protect him every day. And that takes us to December 18th, 2023. Honeycomb is heading home from Montgomery on I-65. While passing through the town of Creola, they hear sirens behind them. So they pull over and Honeycomb thinks nothing of it. I don't have a weapon on me and the people with me are private security guards. Well, because Honeycomb is on parole, the officers are allowed to automatically search the car. So everyone is removed from the vehicle and the officers go to searching. After just a few seconds, they discover 2 firearms under the seats. Still though, Honeycomb thinks nothing of it as private security guards are allowed to have weapons. But here's the problem, the guys that Rap-A-Lot sent him are not actual security guards. In fact, one of them is a convicted felon and the other is banned from owning weapons. Man, what?
Mind you, this nigga saying Rap-A-Lot sent these motherfuckers. If that wasn't a play to get this nigga off the streets, I don't know what is. These the 2 niggas you seeing? And y'all got millions of dollars?
So because of this, Honeycomb and the 2 fake security guards are all arrested for federal gun charges. Not only did Honeycomb unknowingly violate his parole, but he's also facing new felony charges. So here we are again with Honeycomb looking at a long time in prison. But this also begs an important question, did Rap-A-Lot Records set him up? If they did, then that's some cold business, but personally I don't think so. This is because financially they're incentivized for him to be free, like when he makes more music, they make more money. But on the other hand, after his arrest, something disrespectful and very suspicious would happen. Finesse 2 Times would come out of the woodworks and celebrate Honeycomb's arrest.
Hey, bro got a bun. Hey, bro got a bun, man. What's bro bun, bro? Hey, if he ain't got no bun, bro, hey, I'm gonna send my lawyer your way, bro. I want you to touch back down, bro, so we can have some fun. Hey, look, don't start calling my phone now. Long as I was quiet, trying to be humble about and trying to be mature about nah, they kept trolling. Nah, they kept, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, I'm on it. That's what it is. Like, no, don't recognize real, then I'm back on some bullshit. Like, don't start calling my phone now. Don't call my phone on.
It just look weird when cause I'm gonna tell you this. I told you I saw some of this nigga's lives. The nigga, I'm talking about every day with it. It was kind of getting annoying coming from Brazy. I'm just saying. Anyway, my Brazy was out doing all that. Finesse wasn't saying shit.
I ain't no nigga, I ain't nah. Long as I was trying to be quiet, trying to be cool about the shit there, I leave it, nah, it's over with. Yeah, it's dead. Yeah. Talking about however you feel, that's what it is. From now on, any feel like Finesse 2 times said this. Oh, any mad about me, any owe me some money. Yeah, it's up.
Oh, now you want to speak up and act tough? Okay, that was pretty much everyone's reaction in the comments. But what do you guys think? Is Honeycomb justified to feel betrayed, or is business just business? Well, aside from the drama, Honeycomb's career and freedom are actually in serious jeopardy. He's technically eligible for parole in the fall of 2024, but who knows if that'll happen. Hopefully things work out for him because he's truly talented and definitely been through a lot. Well, on that note, that's gonna...
I agree with that talented shit. My favorite song from him is actually the one that blew him up, the freestyle one. I listen to it all the time. My favorite part. Anyway, let me know how you feel about this video down in the comment section. I'm gonna start using the little end things for the people make it to the end. And goddamn it, you know, whatever video I put up there, go ahead and give me a watch. Hey, it's your boy Snor, I'm gone.